You know, Hancock, you've been arguing that there's been a lost civilization in the human story. But what sort of civilization do you think it was?
What if Petra isn't just a lost city of tombs and trade, but what lies beneath it is something far more mysterious than we've been taught?
Let's see what's in the other chambers. More burials?
More burials. I see at least 3 skulls. This one's a little disturbed.
3 more skulls?
At least.
Just look at the condition of this. The entire individual is here with these offerings, whatever they are.
Graham Hancock has expressed his shock by what was found under the lost city, forcing historians and explorers to rethink everything. With whispers of treasures, hidden chambers and strange symbols, this could really be an archaeological surprise.
Suddenly the world reads about Petra. The entrance into Petra is this magnificent carved structure about 140 feet high. And it was carved, it was hewn directly out of the rock. And that's the beginning.
Petra as major temple complex to Hindu deities. Petra, the rose-red city carved into rock, has long been studied as the capital of the Nabateans, with traders, architects and worshippers. But Graham Hancock is shocked by what they found under that city and proposes that it's more than just that. He argues that Petra was actually a major temple complex devoted to Hindu deities, especially Shiva and Shakti, in forms like Allat or Durga. Hancock has revealed different parallels between the two. Dushara, the Nabatean chief god, compared to Shiva, which has crescent moons, bull symbols and serpents, and Aluzza or Allat as Durga, with lion and slaying of bull demons. Both Nabateans and Hindu deities have rituals involving sacrificial offerings and anointing, and the idea of water rituals tied to sacred stones. He also suggests that architectural technology and religious ideas might have travelled west from India through ancient trade and silk routes. This is shocking and something different than what archaeologists and experts know about this lost city. But when you compare this with what some other experts say, Hancock's views aren't well liked. Evidence shows that Petra was polytheistic, and the chief god was Dushara, who was venerated especially in the Shara mountains around Petra. Female deities like Aluzza, Allat, Manat, Isis, and others also appear in the archaeological and inscriptional record. There are many baitals, which means sacred stones, some unworked or lightly worked and set in niches or recesses in the rock. This served as cult objects or symbols of divine presence. Over 1,000 of them have been found in Petra already. The god image as a soiree or black stone has also been discovered in Petra. But that's not all. As experts dig deep into what Petra could have been centuries ago and the hidden temple that might be related to Hindu deities, something shocking was also found. A secret tomb with skeletons, and everyone is wondering who they were. Secret tomb uncovered. Hidden deep beneath Petra's rose stone facade, there's a newly revealed tomb at the foot of the treasury, which they call Al-Khazna, and it's turning heads among archaeologists and history lovers. In a discovery announced in 2024, a crypt sealed for 2,000 years was found to contain 12 human skeletons, along with grave goods made of bronze, iron and ceramics. What makes this tomb especially thrilling isn't just the age, as it's dated roughly 1st century BC to 1st century AD, at the height of the Nabatean kingdom, but its location. The tomb is directly under the treasury, one of Petra's most studied monuments. The tomb chamber is estimated to be about 18 feet by 18 feet, with walls reaching about 9 feet high. To make it even more shocking, among the artifacts discovered, one skeleton was literally clutching a ceramic vessel that resembles what many in popular culture might call a chalice. This caused many to guess that they had finally found the Holy Grail. But everyone was disappointed when they found that it was just a juglet. Even more exciting is that many tombs in Petra have been disturbed over time, emptied or looted. This find is pretty rare because it actually has intact skeletal remains and the tomb is still in one place. This gives us a cleaner picture of burial practices, like health, diet, and ritual life of the Nabateans centuries ago. Of course, a find like this invites a lot of myths. Many people, including Graham Hancock, guessed that the treasury was holding the Holy Grail, and so they guessed that this was what they found inside the city of Petra. But scholars are still saying that it's not magical and simply a vessel. Some wonder whether the individuals buried here were elite, like royalty, wealthy merchants or high priests, since being buried under the treasury would be prime real estate. But there's no way to identify the skeletons through inscriptions or DNA evidence. Remember that only 15% of the lost city has been uncovered, and scientists have no idea what more they can discover if they dive deep. It's more intriguing. The smaller tombs were discovered on the left side under the treasury in the early 2000s. But excavation was not complete because of funding issues. It means that they could find something more under the city of Petra. But this isn't the only shocking thing that they found under the city of Petra. Even before this, they used satellites and drones to find something hidden under the lost city. Hidden monumental platform. Not far from the famous treasury, tucked just 800 meters south of Petra's center, there's a giant platform that was discovered in 2016. Interestingly, it escaped the notice of archaeologists walking the dusty paths for years. Using satellite imagery, drone photos, and careful ground survey, some experts like Sarah Parkick and Christopher Tuttle revealed a rectangular platform measured about 184 by 161 feet. What makes the design interesting is its layered structure. On top of the large base platform sits a smaller one, paved with flagstones, and on its eastern side there's a row of columns. This is at the end of a monumental staircase that would have led visitors or worshippers, if Hancock's view about the Hindu deities is right, up to the elevated area. There's also evidence of a small building, about 28 by 28 feet, centered on the smaller platform, opening toward the staircase. Experts also discovered some pottery sherds found at the surface near the monument, which date back to around 150 BC. This makes the platform among Petra's earliest public and ceremonial structures. It's possibly one of the earliest display areas or stages in Petra, built during the time the Nabateans were consolidating power and style. Even though the remains of the monumental platform are visible from above, when experts walk the ground, it seems like there's nothing there. It's hidden in plain sight, and the edges look so much like ordinary terrace walls that it was long overlooked. There are many theories that surround this monumental platform. For one, there are theories that it was a ceremonial display or ritual site for public gatherings, processions, and religious ceremonies. It might also be a chapel or special religious structure. The orientation of the platform shows the staircase on its east side, building facing staircase, and a small structure on top. It seems like it was intended to look towards something, like to sunrise or for rituals. Strange discoveries like this change how we imagine Petra. It's not just a tomb city with rock facades, but it seems like it was a living city with public spaces and monuments that we haven't fully seen. As these discoveries keep on coming, there's no doubt that legends and myths have emerged, and one of these is a hidden treasure. Yet we can't fully find them because we only see 15% of what's really there. Legend of hidden treasure. When you first come upon Petra's most famous facade, the treasury, also known as Al-Khazna, the first thing you might be curious about is the huge carved urn perched high above the second level. Locals have long whispered that this urn hides something invisible: gold, jewels, private loot. The legend says that the hidden treasure is into Petra's lore, and it gives the treasury its name. Over the centuries, many tried to uncover this supposed hoard. The most dramatic attempt was firing guns. It's said that Bedouin tribesmen and others passing through would shoot at the urn, hoping to break it open so the treasure would spill out. You will still see the pockmarks and bullet damage on the stone today. But there's a twist, which is that the urn is solid stone. There isn't any cavity inside, hoard or a vault of riches. It's just sandstone carved as decoration along with the rest of the facade. This is when they realised that the treasure was entirely legendary. Where did the legend come from? It's probably because of human imagination due to Petra's natural grandeur. The facade is stunning, monumental, and carved as a tomb or mausoleum, possibly for the Nabatean king Aretas IV. This fancy design caused them to guess that there was hidden wealth behind the tomb. Even the name Treasury suggests that there is money and valuables stored in this tomb. There was no hidden treasure in the treasury, although that doesn't mean that there isn't a treasure in the rest of the ancient city. But there's no telling what's also in the lost city, as there have also been legends of curses and pharaohs. Legends of curses and pharaohs. Another enduring legend that has persisted around the treasury or Al-Khazna is that it was built by an Egyptian pharaoh who stored a treasure within the decorative urn perched high above the facade. According to local tales, the pharaoh was fleeing the collapse of the Red Sea after Moses' exodus ended, and desperate to safeguard his wealth, he magically created the treasury. The story adds that the urn held his hoard, and that's also one of the reasons many treasure hunters fired bullets into it, trying to break it open. In the treasury, many locals and Arabs call it the treasury of Pharaoh. They also say that there are curses which protect the treasure, with curse magic, spirits, or divine wrath for anyone who robs what doesn't belong to them. Of course, it seems like there's really nothing in the treasury, but many also say that there might have been something there before, stolen and taken away by someone in history. There are other legends connected to Petra that build on the same themes. One is about Qasr al-Bint, a nearby temple whose Arabic name means Palace of the Pharaoh's Daughter. According to folklore, it was built for the daughter of a pharaoh who was fleeing in pursuit of Moses. Some versions say he built it to give his daughter shelter while he carried his treasure. Others say that when the treasure slowed him down, he created grand structures instead. Because of all these stories, there were many treasure hunters who constantly went into Petra, centuries before it was an archaeological site. But of course, there's the biggest legend of them all, which is that of the Holy Grail. Legend of Holy Grail. As we've said, there have been many magical legends about Petra's treasury. According to local folklore, that urn held not just wealth, but a treasure beyond imagining, like gold, gems, maybe something sacred. Many believed it guarded by invisible curses, spirits, or hidden traps. These tales are old, handed down by Bedouin storytellers, travellers, and later embellished by adventurers. And then, there was the myth of the Holy Grail being hidden in Petra. This is one of the shocking legends surrounding Petra, and it especially became more famous when 12 skeletons were found in the tomb, with one of them holding what seemed like a chalice. The unearthing was very dramatic, and the world was shocked to see a skeleton literally holding the chalice tight. To many, this could be the Holy Grail, but some scholars are saying it's just a normal cup. Still, popular culture has helped fuel this myth. The 1989 movie Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade famously uses the treasury facade as a temple in pursuit of the Holy Grail. This caused many to wonder whether Petra's treasury was a resting place for these sacred relics. There hasn't been any proof of a Grail relic at Petra, but many still believe this. Another enduring legend tied to the Petra region is that Aaron, the brother of Moses, is buried on Jabal Harun, a mountain southwest of Petra. Religious tradition holds that Aaron died on this mountain during the Israelites' desert wandering, and that this is his final resting place. The site has a whitewashed shrine visible from afar and is a place of pilgrimage. As Graham Hancock was shocked by what they found under the city of Petra, experts have been paying attention to what Petra could have been centuries ago, when it was still a bustling city and a famous trade route. What Petra was at first and decline. From its earliest days, Petra was never just a rock in the desert. Before it became the famed Nabatean capital, the area was inhabited by Semitic peoples, including the Edomites, from at least the Late Bronze and Iron Ages. By the 4th century BC, nomadic Nabatean tribes began settling in the area known to them as Rakhmu. What started as a seasonal or semi-permanent settlement gradually grew to become a permanent urban centre, or as urban as it could be BC. A key to Petra's early success was location. It lay at the crossroads of important caravan routes that linked Arabia, Egypt, Syria, and eventually trade toward the Mediterranean. Goods like incense, spices, silk, precious stones, and aromatics passed through Petra, allowing merchants and leaders to build wealth. Another important ingredient was water. The Nabateans developed sophisticated water management by collecting and storing rainwater, building dams, conduits, and cisterns. In a desert environment, this allowed the residents to cultivate plants, gardens, fountains, and even lush terraces. As Petra's monumental architecture grew, tombs, temples, facades like the treasury, theatre, and gardens reflected wealth in this city, but also technical skill in carving, masonry, and planning. But over time, Petra began to decline. As sea trade, especially through the Red Sea, became more dominant, overland caravan routes through Petra lost importance. This reduced the flow of goods, travellers, and income that Petra depended on. To make matters worse, there were many earthquakes. The major quake in AD 363 damaged many structures and played an important role in destroying Petra's water systems. There was then another quake in 551 AD before they could even recover. All these disasters weakened the city's infrastructure and caused many to move out of the city. In 106 AD, the Romans annexed Petra, turning the Nabatean realm into the Roman province called Arabia Petraea. Over time, with changing imperial priorities, Petra became less central. Later, with the rise of Byzantium, and then early Islamic rule, its political and religious role shifted. Churches were built, some buildings reused, but the city never regained its peak prominence. As wealth, political will, and maintenance resources declined, the water harvesting, reservoirs, dams, and irrigation systems fell into disrepair. Without those, gardens wilted, public buildings deteriorated, and living in the harsh desert setting became much more difficult. By around the 7th century, Petra was mostly abandoned, occupied only by small numbers of Bedouins. Over centuries, the structures weathered, sand and sediment accumulated, earthquakes shook up the ground. Knowledge faded in Western records, and maps omitted it. This was until in 1812, when the city was finally rediscovered. Discovery and uncovering. The modern rediscovery of Petra came in 1812, when the Swiss explorer Johann Ludwig Burckhardt travelled under the alias Sheikh Ibrahim ibn Abdakka, persuaded a local guide to lead him through the narrow gorge, the Sick, into the hidden valley of Petra. Disguised in Arab dress and fluent in Arabic, Burckhardt had prepared for years to avoid suspicion. Emerging into Petra, he saw for the first time towering facades like the treasury and the amphitheatres carved into rock, sepulchres and temples that had mostly lain unvisited by Western scholars. After Burckhardt, other explorers followed. In 1818, William John Banks was granted more time in Petra, sketching, mapping, writing, and collecting descriptions. Their journals helped publicise Petra across Europe, sparking interest among archaeologists, historians, and adventurers. Over the 20th century, archaeological excavations commenced. Projects like the Great Temple excavations unearthed monumental colonnades, paved courtyards, subterranean water channels, and revealed that Petra wasn't just tombs, but it was a thriving city. Modern techniques like satellite imagery, drones, and remote sensing have added new discoveries, including structures that were previously hidden in plain sight. Petra is also protected as a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and they continue to dig and survey to find out what other secrets the lost city is holding. But even as the government and universities continue to unearth Petra, there are many challenges, and some also expect that they can find more treasures if they dig deeper. What's next for Petra? Graham Hancock is shocked by what they found under the city of Petra, but that's not all that they can discover. Even after centuries of study, Petra guards many secrets. Experts estimate that only about 15% of the full city has been excavated. 85% remains buried beneath sand, rubble, or unexamined terrain. That includes residential areas, small dwellings, marketplaces, everyday civic structures, and water channels and hydraulic infrastructure. Also, while the monumental tomb faces are well known, less is known about the ordinary homes, workshops, agricultural terraces, and how people lived there. Structures like the hidden monumental platform discovered through satellite and drone imagery in 2016 show how large the public and ritual spaces are, but also how they remain unnoticed because they blend into cliff terraces, natural terraces, or have been eroded. Petra's authorities are also embracing a lot of modern tools. For instance, there is a LiDAR and survey initiative by researchers to create a comprehensive digital scan of Petra's monuments for documentation, conservation and planning. There's also a Tourism Development Master Plan 2023 to 2033 prepared by PDTRA and JICA, which launched in late 2024. It aims at sustainable tourism and will balance visitor access with preservation and likely enables more systematic archaeological work alongside infrastructure upgrades. Additionally, the Temple of the Winged Lion's Cultural Resource Management Project works on conserving, documenting, and excavating one of Petra's major temple structures. Graham Hancock is shocked by what they found under the city of Petra in Jordan, especially with the strange temples, hidden monuments, and legends of hidden treasures. What else do you think is hidden in Petra? Let's know your thoughts in the comments. Remember to like, share, and subscribe for more. Also, click the next video showing on your screen. You will enjoy it.